we turn it back over to Jessica for the presentation, I'm Jennifer Smolowitz, for those who I haven't met, the Director of Suicide Prevention at MHA. So with that, Jessica's going to do her presentation for us, and I believe there might be some practice that will help kick off our busy week in May's Mental Health Month as well. So Jessica, I will turn it over to you now. And you should have ability to share your screen.
Awesome. Okay, so let me turn off my video because you don't need to watch me while I talk you through all this. And let me share my screen. Okay, let me get the slideshow going here. All right, bear with me. It's a relatively new laptop. I don't think I've actually figured out how to use it yet. I'm just winging it. Okay. All right. So let me also move this out of the way. Obviously, I'm Jessica Lewis. And I'm really grateful to be here today, and I wish you all a good morning. And I always describe myself as a lifestyle coach, but that's just sort of a quick way to say that I'm a master personal trainer. That's where the CPT initials come after my name, and a certified nutritional counselor. That's the CNC. And accredited to teach a whole bunch of relaxation techniques, including 5 different styles of Tai Chi and Qigong. And in 2004, I founded a private practice called Sculpt Your Life. And over the next almost 2 decades since then, I've been offering a signature blend of customized functional fitness, whole food nutrition, and relaxation instruction to clients ranging in age from about 4 to 94. And I've been privileged, actually, to help people reach literally any health and wellness goal, from simply needing to drop a couple of pounds all the way up to end of life issues. And although it's true I coach all of my clients using only evidence-based techniques, people who've worked with me report that I often make the biggest lifestyle changes seem pretty easy to tackle. The bottom line is our health is sort of like sitting on a 3-legged stool. And you know how you can shorten up one of the legs of a stool like that pretty dramatically sometimes and still keep your seat. But if you crack one of them off, at some point, you're simply going to fall over. So basically, all I really do is help people find their own personal balance between moving well, eating well, and relaxing really, really well. But I am so grateful for the opportunity to be here today to discuss with all of you just one aspect of my work to which I've become so passionately committed just in the last 3.5 pretty short years. I sometimes feel like my whole life kind of conspired to place me right at this spot right now. And that's my capacity as an instructor / government subcontractor for a federal program that's underwritten by the VA Community Care Network called TAI CHI for Veterans. TC4V, as we in the instructors community like to call it, was a direct response to the 2018 Mission Act, and frankly, the skyrocketing rates of chronic veteran health concerns, especially PTSD and suicide. This federal program went live in Delaware on September 12, 2019, yet pretty unbelievably, I'm still Delaware's only authorized instructor. In plain language, you could call me Delaware's community Tai Chi teacher. So here's where I'm going to stop this share. And I'd like to instead share with you a video. Right. And let me hit the go button. Now, this video is actually a summary of me teaching all kinds of populations actually in different settings, but I bet it'll only take each of you a few seconds to see how relevant this moving mindfulness practice is to the veteran community. A simple but accurate summary of TC4V would be to say that it's an evidence-based, fun, and easy drug-free treatment option for pretty much any serious chronic mental or physical condition you can think of, including, of course, suicidality. But the two coolest things about all this are the entire program was rolled into VHA telehealth in 2020 because of COVID. And frankly, that pretty much erased all the laws of space and time. So now folks can Zoom into my classes from anywhere. And I've actually had a fella come into class for close to 3 years now from Birmingham, England. I always think that's really cool. But even better, Tai Chi's effects are cumulative. So over time, it can easily become a protective factor, building resiliency against future physical and mental health concerns to boot. And this work has everything to do with what I'm up to, among other things, as part of priority area 2 of the Governor's Challenge, which is all about promoting care transitions and connectedness, because veterans who participate in this program often end up seeing me and their classmates more frequently than their doctors. We've become a bit of a family, and that experience alone can easily be life-altering. I actually want to tell you a short story about one of my students in particular who found his way to TC4V simply by walking by the TV one day while his wife was participating online from their Charleston living room. Let's call that veteran Daniel. And Dan later reported to me that even after only a few minutes of watching his wife Carol that day, he felt a reduction of pain in his back, which was typically so intense, he often couldn't walk. So his back pain was actually the cause of his early retirement from a long, successful career in naval intelligence. So Dan just went ahead and asked his VA PCP for a consult to begin attending classes along with his wife. And after only a few weeks of the two of them participating in the program together, Dan began to realize that the foundational blocks of his physical pain were actually severe anxiety, PTSD, and moral injuries related to his career, on top of everything else Dan had witnessed and done in 1999. He was assigned a full-time position at the Pentagon, and his demolished office is often one of the most widely distributed pictures of the September 11th attacks. I'm just going to go ahead and mute to warn you. There we go. Now I'm grateful for the co-hosting. Thanks, Jen. So we've been focusing on all these issues, Dan and I, and incidents, both in class and during private sessions. I do private sessions with my veterans as well, ever since. And he's been participating in the program for over 2 years now, and has reported on numerous occasions that Tai Chi has actually changed his life. And he's simply one of many students with whom I've had the honor of working who've had such similar and dramatic positive responses to these 20 simple, completely adaptive movements. As you saw in the video a few moments ago, the practice can easily be done from a wheelchair, and for the few partially paralyzed folks I've worked with over the years, results have even occurred when the student simply visualizes themselves doing the movements. So I'm going to cut this video short here. And let me share my PowerPoint once again. All right. There we go. So now here's the thing. It's important for all of you to know there's actually a rather large distinction between in-house Tai Chi, which is typically offered through the whole health department of each individual VAMC, and community Tai Chi. VACCN instructors like me not only undergo strict certification and continuing end processes mandated by the Mission Act, but we're also fully familiar with the VA's National Electronic Medical Records System called HSRM, or the Health Share Referral Manager. So what that means is for each session with each veteran, we manage and track referrals, we document treatment notes, we schedule and update appointments, and we review relevant medical histories while communicating regularly with the referring physicians. So basically, we operate like a medical specialist on steroids. Because remember, sometimes we have more to do with the veterans' daily lives than anyone else in the VA multiverse, so to speak. So under the best possible circumstances, we're working in partnership with their caregivers as well. There's no one single golden band-aid for helping a veteran in crisis, right? This is an all hands on deck situation. So it takes a village. And I want you all to basically accept no substitutes, to quote all of the old advertising there. There really is no program completely like the Tai Chi for Veterans program. So if you know anybody that you think would be interested in such a thing, just tell them they can simply ask their PCP for a community care consult, or you could also instruct them to say, I'd like a referral for community Tai Chi. And then they'll be able to attend fun Tai Chi classes for free, either live in their own neighborhoods or right from their living room by phone, tablet, or computer. And of course, if anyone has any questions, you should send them right to me. I'm actually really good at helping people navigate through all the red tape. And if all else fails, you can just send folks to my website. Now, I'll confess to you that about 20 years ago, when I went to buy the domain, the name I wanted was taken. So if you're able to see my web address up there in your upper left-hand corner, you'll see that it's a little bit different from the name of my company. So it's www.sculpt. Of course, that's spelled just the way you'd expect it. The next part is URLIFE.com. But I've been told by all the search engine optimization gurus that if you Google me or my company name and spell it any way you like, I always pop right up. So now also look up in the upper right-hand corner of your page there, you need to move the little vignette talking heads around a little bit to see it. There's that big red, white, and blue button right up there. And all anyone has to do is push that button and all will become clear about this program. So I believe that we still have about 10 minutes to experience some of this. So if you like, let me go ahead and switch my screen over, or switch my camera over. And let me get to the back. I'm assuming that most of y'all are sitting, right? So maybe we'll do a little bit of Tai Chi in the chair. And I hope you all can see me. Can you all see me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can see me still. Good.
We can.
All right. So if you're sitting on a chair, I want you to scooch a little bit forward, just so you're not, slouched back against the chair. I want you to be in charge of your own spine. So let's first do this. Let's just spend a few moments feeling the sit bones touching the chair. And let's take a nice deep breath. By the way, there's no special way to breathe when you're doing Tai Chi Chih, the style that I'm going to show you today. I'm certified in lots of styles, but that's my favorite. So that's the one I teach all the time. Just breathing is good enough breathing. And also, there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Chih. So we say the best way to do it is with the effort of no effort at all. So even worrying about whether or not you're doing it right is too much work. Don't bother. Okay. Let's sit in our chairs for a few moments. Feel your sit bones touching the chair. And remember that your sit bones are kind of round. If you strip all our skin off, this is what we look like underneath the skin. And the sit bones, which are the things that start to feel a little painful if you sit for too long, are actually a little curvy. So even though you're sitting in a chair, I want you to imagine that you're sitting on an exercise ball, and you know how you can almost, it's almost impossible not to roll forward and back when you're sitting on an exercise ball. It's easier to roll than it is to not roll. So let's do this. Let's place one foot just slightly out. I'm going to place my left foot out there. And just put your hands up about chest height, about shoulder width apart. And I want you just to imagine that you're rolling ever so slightly forward on that ball and ever so slightly back on that ball. And as you do that, as you feel yourself almost kind of rocking in your chair, just let your fingertips run around the outside edge of kind of an invisible bass drum, a high school marching band bass drum that's been strapped to your shoulders magically here. You're just letting your fingers run around the outside edge. Yeah. Nice. And we usually do 9 repetitions with one foot out and then 9 with the other foot out. So let's call this number 9. And to end it, we're just going to let the body kind of flow back to rest. We're going to just take a few moments to feel the body at rest before we move on to the other side. Now, if you don't have the space, or if you're like Annie and you can't stand up, just stay put in your chair. But if you'd like to do it standing, I will show you what that looks like. So if you're doing the practice standing, our rest position is similar to the way it is when we're sitting. You kind of place your hands, you know, at a comfortable horizontal height, about where your legs would be if you were sitting. And you put your feet in sort of a V. You want to let your heels be a little closer than your toes. And just let your tailbone kind of tuck a little bit. And that causes your knees to just kind of naturally glide forward suddenly. And the most important thing is you're suddenly going to feel your weight spreading all the way out to the outer margins of both your feet. All right, so let's just take a moment to feel the feet touching the ground. That's one of the ways this process has been described by the American Medical Association as a moving mindfulness practice. And now to get the other leg out there without using any effort, all you're going to do is let the tailbone tuck a little bit more. That'll cause you to sink down a bit. And then we're just going to shift as far as we can away from the leg we want to extend. And then just extend the empty knee. And the heel will just drop down wherever it wants to be. And the hands are going to come back up here. And we're going to do bass drum on the other side. And now we're just going to let all the weight flow from the rear leg into the front leg and back again. And the fingers are simply going to roll around the outside edge of the drum. Yeah. It's almost like the same sensations you feel when you're sitting on a gliding chair on your grandma's front porch. And you know how when you're sitting in a glider, even just a little breeze will come along and you'll simply sort of rock forward or glide forward and back. It's just you happen to have one leg sticking out there right now. That's all. Nice. And just ask your body to do something like what you're watching me do. And that's more than good enough. And I'm obviously a crappy counter. I think I've done more than 9 on this side. So to end it, we're going to wait till all the weight gets back in the back leg again. And then we're just going to stand up and float down. That was nice. And let's do one more movement. I'll do the first half standing and then I'll do the other half seated. Let's go ahead and sink down. Let the tailbone tuck a little more. And we're going to let all the weight flow into the leg opposite the one you want to extend. And then you're just going to extend the empty knee. All right. And you can put your hands sort of near your chest. You're going to imagine there's a big round plate right out in front of your chest. And as you flow forward into that leg that was empty, it becomes full. You're just letting all the weight flow from the rear leg into the front leg and back again. And the hands just kind of roll around the platter. Nice. Maybe we'll just do 6 on this side, and we'll do 6 in the chair. And I forgot to put on my birds tweeting in the background, so you're not getting the full effect of class here. So we wait till all the weight's in this back leg, and we're just going to stand up and float down. Just take a moment to feel your body resting, and then we move on to the other side. I'll do it in the chair for you. And we're just going to place the other leg slightly out. It's mostly a metaphor for when you're doing the standing practice, so you remember that one leg goes out there. And just pretend you're sitting on that exercise ball again, and you just let yourself kind of gently roll forward and gently roll back. Nice. And one of the reasons why this is such a paradigm shift for so many people participating in this program is because they've been taught to be hard. You know, there's more power in softness than almost anything else in the universe, frankly. That's the way things are really successful in the universe, is to be soft. Even just being softer with yourself. Let's do one more. And we're just going to flow back to rest. Just feel your body resting for a few moments. And even if all I do is teach people how to just simply feel their bodies at rest, notice all the little aspects of their bodies at rest, I've also taught them how to meditate at the same time. So I think that's just about all I have to share with you today. I know that I'm really close to my 30-minute mark, but I'm happy to answer any questions for you. Let me change my camera over here so you can see me a little better.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for leading us through that. I think we've been talking the last couple of months about how overwhelming things have been, and we've all had a lot going on. So hopefully everybody found that little practice of Tai Chi that you're able to do with us to be beneficial, and we'll hopefully set everybody up for a productive week and a new tool that they can utilize.
And anybody here that wants to experience these classes up close and personal, just feel free to send me your information in the chat. I'll be happy to email you the flyers. I've never turned a veteran away, even if they can't get their paperwork. And frankly, I think that what happens to the veteran happens to their loved ones too. So as long as the veteran is in the room, anybody that they really care about or they live with certainly is perfectly welcome to be there. And I have civilians that come to my veterans classes. I actually recently opened them up to law enforcement officer. Pretty much anybody in the justice personnel multiverse is welcome. And of course I have Gen Pop classes too, but.
So any questions for Jessica? Yeah, I see that Tracy mentioned she wanted to start every meeting that way. You have a very calming voice too, so it was very to go through. So thank you so much.
Well, you know what, Tracy, you could start every meeting with this because I have a pretty big YouTube presence. Right on my Tai Chi for Veterans webpage, there is a little video, my little YouTube video embedded there. That's a silent, full standing practice, and it's mirrored. So like if I move this arm, it is my right arm, but it would look like your left. And I always tell people, just ask your body to do some reasonable facsimile of what you are watching me do, and that's going to be fantastic Tai Chi. So you could play that at the beginning of your meetings, Tracy, and you could begin your meetings with me.
Thanks so much.